Alright, so what I got here is a sink full of 4 slabs of pork spare ribs, fixing up for buddy mine, and I'll take you through step by step. Now first, what you want to do is soak your wood chips in water. Now since this is short notice, what I did was I put wood chips in a pressure cooker and pressure cooked them for about an hour. You can see that they just got done and they should be fairly waterlogged. This is to get a good amount of smoke. If they're dry, they'll burn up, so the water kind of slows them down, produces some smoke. Now I've rinsed the ribs, taken them out of the cryo pack that they came in from the store, and I'll show you how to do a St. Louis style trim on them. Now what you want to do is St. Louis style gives the ribs a good rectangular, even thickness all the way throughout. So I trim a lot of the extra stuff off. A lot of people don't do this. They smoke the whole thing, and what that does is you end up with burn ends, a lot of overcooked and dry pieces. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to trim off the skirt here that you see. I'm going to trim that off, and then after which I'm going to find, you can see there's a chine bone here, or the breastbone, that the pork ribs, they attach here. There's 2 sets, obviously, and we want to get rid of this stuff right here, and we want to get rid of this stuff right here because there's a lot of cartilage and fat in there. A lot of people like them, but I would rather not have them. About from the end, about right there, you can feel where the cartilage connects these 2 sets of bones, the rib bones to the chine bone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right here where you can feel. I'm going to cut all the way down to here, and that's going to leave a good rectangular piece. Alright, now you can see I've trimmed the skirt off that I showed you, and I've trimmed the piece I explained to you where the cartilage meets the 2 sets of bones. I'll back up here so you can see. And I have this left over. This is good for making sausage, or to put in beans, soups, whatever. There's a lot of bones and cartilage in here, but it'll cook down. Now what I want to do with this from here, now that I've got kind of an even piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim some of this fat off right here, and also I'm going to trim up some excess. You can see right here there's a bone there, there's a bone there, and I don't feel any more bones here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off right here, just to trim off these thin pieces because they're going to overcook. And I'll also trim off some excess elements right here. I've trimmed off the end like I showed you and flipped the slab over, and what I'm going to do from here is trim off some of these fatty medallions here. We don't need a lot of fat when we cook the ribs. We're going to slow cook them, and whatever fat that I don't trim off is going to render off during the slow cooking process. I've trimmed off most of the fat that I want to. The fat you see here that's left, it'll render off during the cooking process. I've got 4 more to do here, so I'll check back in with you. Actually, there's one more thing I have to do. Very important part. I'll show that to you next. So here, since I only have 2 hands, I can't show you the process, but there is a piece of skin that's on the back of the ribs that's very tough, and you don't want to serve that to your guests. You want to remove that. So what I do is I take a butter knife or a dull knife, and I work it under, right on top of a bone, about 3 ribs from the end, and I work that all the way through. Again, I don't have 2 hands. But I'm going to separate this membrane from the ribs, and then what I'm going to do is take a towel, a paper towel or something dry, grab the end that I've separated and pull it in this direction. So I pull it from the white end to the small end, and it should just come right off. This will allow for the seasonings that you rub on this side to penetrate in through. If you would leave this skin on, actually it's called a fell. If you leave the fell on and put the rub on, it's not going to penetrate through and get the seasonings that you want. Alright, I've trimmed the fell off of the ribs. You can see that it's not as white here. Peeling that off. So what we have left is a rib that's ready to add the seasoning to. There we go. I'll do 4 more and then season them up. I've finished trimming the 4 sides of ribs. As you can see here, got as much fat off as I want, and they're nice and rectangle, uniform. So now I'm going to rub them down with my rib rub, and the rub I use is the Bobby Flay steak seasoning, and I'm not sure if I add anything extra to it. I probably do, but can't remember right now. So I'll rub those down, and ideally you want to let that rub sit overnight. I've got to cook these tonight, so I'm going to rub them down. I'm going to put a little meat tenderizer in them to help with the penetration, and then put them on my smoker. I have the rub applied to both sides, and what I'm going to do for my smoker is I'm going to cut them in half, every one. Follow the rib bone. You can see it better if you turn them over. And what I'm going to do is just follow the rib bone in between the 2 bones and just cut it in half in an even way, so they'll sit in my rib rack, and I'll put them on the smoker. Now what I do here is, this is a smoker I use. Unfortunately, a lot of people swear by the wood smokers with the firebox and the like. Well, I do too, to be honest with you. But mine got hit in a tragic 18-wheeler accident, turned it into what looked like now a Pepsi can. Anyway, long story short, in a pinch, I'm stuck with this electric smoker. But here's what I got. I've taken the top off, and now we have the bottom. What we have in the bottom is some good old genuine lava rock and a heating element. And those chips I soaked, I think they were apple or some hardwood, but 2 logs on the top, those are pecan, and I soaked those overnight as well. So that'll give us about 2 hours of continuous smoke. I'll put the top back on, heat it up, and put my ribs on. Now I'll have the ribs cut in half and put on rib racks. You can see I've got 2 levels here. This is 4 full slabs of ribs, and what I'm going to do is just plug it right into that outlet right there, start my fire, so to speak, and leave them on there about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the color. We'll check back in about 2 hours to see how they look.